So I had different options. This week was a very rich week because I could possibly speak probably about Pokemon Go. Everybody's playing that, and so that was one option, which could have been interesting. Another thing I could have talked is about what Jennifer Aniston wrote, which was very interesting. I don't know if you read it, but I think it was well written. Also, unfortunately, I could have speak about what happened in Nice. And if I prepared my sermon yesterday very late, I could have spoken about the coup in Turkey. But I decided to speak about the Torah portion. So, with your permission, and with Birshuta Rabbanim, with the permission of the rabbis, I would like to say something about the Torah portion, because Torah portion is it's very rich, especially the part after the red heifer. But the red heifer is very interesting too, but it's a little bit difficult to understand. I don't want to go there. Even King Solomon had troubles to understand that, so I wouldn't, get there a lot. So this is probably the longest parsha we read since the Jews left Egypt. So I invite you to open your Humashim, once again, on page 883. 883, and I would like to ask you a question. What do you see in that page? 883. What's special in that page? If you speak all together, it's very loud. So I need just one or two people to raise their hands and say, well, I see this, or, Yes. Who said, oh? Donna, what did you find? Tell us. Well, you want me to give you the answer? What do you see in that page? What's special in that page?
Tahara.
Sorry?
The ritual of Tahara.
Yes. What else? Yes. In the page. Don't look at the text. I didn't say take. Oh, there's a big space. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. So, if you look at the next, it's the beginning of a new chapter. Yes, that's the end of chapter 19 and the beginning of chapter 20. If you take a look at the next beginnings or the coming beginnings of chapters or the previous ones. For example, on page 888, it's the beginning of chapter 21st. Is there a big space there? No. What about the following? On 893, no big spaces. So why there's a big space in that particular? The translation requires more space? Okay. I would like to say that that's a good answer, Alan, but I think this big space, I'm not sure they did it on purpose or not, but if you look at the text, and if you read the text, this is the space that represents 38 years. From the end of chapter 19 until the beginning of chapter 20 is 38 years that nothing happened in the desert. The people of Israel are stationed in the desert, and nothing is happening, No. I'm not sure they did it on purpose or not, but this is the time of 38 years that the people of Israel were in the desert. We know what happened in the first year of their journey in the desert, and we know of the last year in the desert. But these 38 years, no stories, no movement, no headlines, no elections, just a quiet, normal life, There's a midrash that says that nothing, midrash explains the only thing that happened is that they were born and they died. That's what happened. So, and soon after that, we have, as Hillary said, the death of Miriam. So, let's read together, chapter 20. Anybody would like to volunteer to read? Yes, thank you, Mitchell. Appreciate that.
The Israelites arrived in a body at the wilderness of Zin on the first new moon, and and the people stayed at Kadesh. Miriam died there and was buried there.
Okay, so Miriam dies and she's buried there. So what do you expect of the people of Israel?
Morning.
Yeah, morning, pay a Shiva call. Stop by, say Moses and Aaron, I'm sorry for your loss. You know, when Aaron dies, they cry for Aaron 30 days. When Joseph dies, they mourn Joseph. When Jacob dies, they mourn Jacob. And here Miriam dies. 38 years, they spend with her at least 39 years together. And she is the one who provided water. And the people of Israel cries for Miriam. And they mourn. No, I'm wrong. Because next verse says...
The community was without water, and they joined against Moses and Aaron.
So, Baikalu al Moshe ve'al Aaron. Instead of comforting Moses and Aaron, they complain. No water, people complains. There is no water. This place is horrible. By the way, what is the place they were at? Anybody knows? They were at Kadesh. Yes, what is Kadesh? Petra. They were in Petra. The red rock, Asela Adom. At least it looks like a nice place to me. I have not been there, but they said this place is horrible. There's no water. Why did you bring us here? And they complain. So apparently, what happened is they moved to an oasis. They were for a long time, and we see that they moved. We read that they went to a different place. Miriam dies, and this new place doesn't have any water. So it says, the text says, next verse, please.
The people quarreled with Moses, saying, "If only we had perished when our brothers perished at the instance of the Lord. Why have you brought the Lord's congregation into this wilderness for us and our beasts to die there? Why did you make us leave Egypt to bring us to this wretched place, a place with no grain or figs or vines or pomegranates? There is not even water to drink." Okay,
the bad complaint from the people of Israel to Moses and Aaron. And verse number 6.
Moses and Aaron came away from the congregation to the entrance of the tent of meeting and fell on their faces. The presence of the Lord appeared to them.
Okay, so they escape from the people. They run into the oil, into the tent, and they fall on their faces. Okay, they kind of complain to God. That's a way to complain or to show their disappointment to God. By plu al pneim. And God shows up. So, after God shows up...
And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "You and your brother Aaron take the rod and assemble the community."
Okay. So Moses has good memory. Yes? Very good memory. So I would like you to turn to page 419. 419. God tells Moses now, take your staff. Okay? Why do you take your staff for? Page 419. Again, the beginning of chapter 17 on page 419. Mitchell, would you like to continue?
From the wilderness of Sin, the whole Israelite community continued by stages as the Lord would command. They encamped at Rephidim, and there was no water for the people to drink.
No water. We know that formula already. Okay, yes.
The people quarreled with Moses. "Give us water to drink," they said. And Moses replied to them, "Why do you quarrel with me? Why do you try the Lord?" But the people thirsted there for water, and the people grumbled against Moses and said, "Why did you bring us up from Egypt to kill us and our children and livestock with thirst?" Moses cried out to the Lord, saying, "What shall I do with this people?"
Exactly the same situation. Okay?
"Before long they will be stoning me." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Cast before the people, take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take along the rod which you struck the Nile and set out."
So let's go back to our text. God tells Moses exactly the same. Take your rod, and you know what you need to do with it. Okay, but a little bit different. But it's the same situation. You already know what to do. So why do we blame Moses? Let's go back to our text. So if God tells Moses to take the staff, he needs to hit. Okay, again, let's back to our text. And
I will be standing there before you on the rock at Horeb.
Let's go back to 884. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes. So verse number 7.
And And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, You and your brother Aaron take the rod and assemble the community, and before their very eyes order the rock to yield its water. Thus shall you produce water for them from the rock, and provide drink for the congregation and their beasts. Moses took the rod from before the Lord as he had commanded him.
Of course.
Moses and Aaron assembled the congregation in front of the rock, and he said to them, Listen, you rebels.
Okay, so let's stop here. So there are many theories of what was Moses' sin. Yes, some people say, according to Rabbi Shmuel David Luzzatto Shadal, he said that Moses committed one sin, yet the commentators have accused him of 13 or more, each inventing some new iniquity. Okay, so if you read the different commentators, each of them has a different version of the sin that Moses committed. Yes? For example, Rashi, what does he say? Rashi says Moses should have spoken to the rock, and he hit the rock. This is what we usually go after. Yes, that's the most well-known explanation. It says God told Moses, speak to the rock, and Moses hits the rock. So that's number one. Then Nachmanides, he follows what Rabbeinu Hananel says, and he says, if we continue reading a little bit, it says,
Listen, you rebels.
Yes.
Shall we get water for you out of this rock?
Shall we get water? Instead of God getting out water from the rock, Moses and Aaron are taking, the honor of being the ones who are going to take out water out of the rock. They don't give credit to God. That's Moses' sin. So we have already two options. Okay. Yes. Yes. They said, we will do it. We will do it, not God. That's the power of God. That's the sin that Nachmanides says. Okay. So let's continue reading.
And Moses raised his hand and struck the rock twice with his rod.
Mm-hmm.
Out came copious water, and the community and their beasts drank.
Okay, so even Ezra and Joseph Albo say that the sin is that they escaped from the people. They didn't face God, the people, and originally they should have stayed there and said, God will provide, no worries. But they ran away from the people. There's another one. Abarbanel says that's there's no sin in this episode. The sin is different. One, they've been punished because Aaron did the golden calf, and Moses sinned by sending the spies. But these sins were hidden in the Torah. Therefore, we want to preserve the good honor of Moses and Aaron. So, my way to see it, and the way I like to interpret, it's not my way, but I will go after Maimonides' explanation. And Maimonides' explanation is, what is the sin that Moses and Aaron did? Anger to? Exactly. Shimu na hamorim. Listen to me, you rebels, says Moses. And these people, as I mentioned before, is a new people. It's not the same people who went out from Egypt. It's a completely different people. It's 39 years after they left Egypt. It's a new generation. So it's the first time these people are complaining. So it's not a rebellion like it happened before several times. This is a new people. So Moses is not up to these new people. He had not moved with them. He had not grown with them. This is what Maimonides says. Moses treats the people as rebels and give them a second chance. This is a new generation. So since he's not ready to bring these people to the land of Israel, he will not get into the land of Israel because it's a new people. So I like to stick with Maimonides' explanation. Calling them rebels is not the right thing to do. But I think there's something else here. And I would like to take it from a different perspective. I think that Moses and Aaron were disappointed. And that's what happened here. They were not comforted by the people when they had a death in their family. The people were very, very rude to them. They did not pay that Shiva call. So I wanted to highlight this. I always think that there's two sides to the coin. And we try to put the sin on Moses. Probably he did a sin. But we need to understand why he probably reacted that way. These new people, his people, still his people, saw that their sister passed away. And there's no word of comfort. So I wanted to highlight this, that not making the Shiva call, not comforting the mourners, not being sensitive to those who suffer, can lead to bigger and worse sins. And even it can result with the prohibition of entering in the land of Israel. So when we have the opportunity of comforting those who suffer, let's not miss that opportunity.